Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. I cover dating, relationships, friendships, how to grow your self esteem, self confidence, and share loads of advice about love as well. So, if you think that's something you'd like to know more about, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon. As you can hear, my voice is croaky at the moment because I'm not that well, but I wanted to bring you this special episode because I think it's important for the people who are looking to date and get into relationships, particularly that you hear this type of thing. I run 6 asexual groups on Facebook. I have a best friend who helps me run them. Thank you, Sammy, for all the hard work you put into that. Big shout out to them. And I run within those groups, 3 of them are for dating. And so it's really important that I listen to people's feedback about how asexual dating's going. And I also observing and listening in other asexual groups as well. And one of the things that's really difficult, and I don't know if you've ever come across this yourself as an asexual person, if you're looking to date or get into a relationship, have you ever felt like you're just a number to someone? Like the person that you're in a relationship with or going to be in a potential relationship with, they treat you like a disregard or a discard once they find out you're asexual, or they treat you like just a body, or they don't, really understand you, and it's like they don't really care. And maybe you've been in a relationship for a while with someone and it's just not worked out and you like disappointed. Maybe it's even with another asexual person that you got involved with and realized that it still was no good. This can be really disheartening and heartbreaking. It can be really, really difficult to come to terms with. And first of all, I want to look at what the differences are between love and lust. Okay, so as asexuals, we lack sexual attraction. If you're a pure asexual, you're someone who doesn't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. So you don't get the need, urge, or want for partnered sexual intercourse, and usually pure asexuals aren't interested in having sex. The majority, right? A grey asexual is someone who does experience sexual attraction, but only under limited, rare, or specific circumstances, or who experiences it but not enough to want to act on it. And so, therefore, you've got the pure asexuals who, in general, don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever, don't get the need, urge, or want for partner sexual intercourse. And then you've got the grey asexuals, right? So, first of all, it's really important to know there are those 2 different types of asexuals. And the ones that are pure asexuals that don't experience any sexual attraction, those are the people and asexuals who are much less likely to have sex, much less likely to want sex, much less likely to get involved in sex, to have it because they got no innate need for it. And so there's 2 different types of asexuals. Those who are on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, the grey asexuals, you've got a mixed bunch there. You've got some people who really aren't into sex, who are not bothered by it, who don't have to have it, don't need it. You do, however, have some asexuals on the more sexual end of the spectrum that I've actually come across myself, who say they don't want to diverge and they want to try sex at least once, which did shock me because I'm thinking, hey, you're asexual, like why do you want to try sex? Like, because you don't usually have a need, urge, want for it. But someone on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, a grey asexual, some of those do experience sexual attraction only under limited, rare, or infrequent circumstances. So it makes them a lot more curious about sex. It makes them a lot more interested in it because they might get that desire or need occasionally. It kind of they feel something's there that they might want to pursue and try. But like I said, this is not the case for all grey asexuals, because some grey asexuals, they really are not interested in having sex. The genitalia stuff isn't important to them. Or first, like a demisexual, for example, on the grey asexual end of the spectrum, they have to have a deep emotional bond before they could even experience sexual attraction. And some demisexuals do need sex after that emotional bond has been formed, and others don't. So we've got a real mixed bag there. So what's the difference between love and lust? Well, when we're talking about love and lust, lust usually comes most of the time through sexuals, such as heterosexuals, pansexuals, bisexuals, homosexuals, people who are sexual, otherwise known as allosexuals, those who are not asexual. I prefer to say sexuals, but some people prefer to use the word allosexual, and that's what term is used traditionally in the asexual community. However, I believe in talking the language of the world, and sexuals versus asexuals is kind of a little bit more easier to understand for someone who isn't asexual. And so the people that are heterosexuals, for example, just take heterosexuals because that's the majority population. People who are heterosexual, they can experience love and they can experience lust. And lust is basically very driven by genitalia feelings, very driven by arousal, very driven by sexual attraction, very driven by the need and desire and want to have sex. Lust is basically when they're going after someone, they're pursuing someone with a view to, I want sex with them and I really want it now, and the quicker I have it, the better. And the more I have it with that person, the better. They're lusting after the person. They're going after the person with the innate need and desire and want to have sex, right? And a person who's heterosexual, for example, can lust after multiple people at the same time, multiple women, because really they want to get their sexual needs met. They want to have sexual intercourse. They want to have sex. That is their main primary goal, their primary interest, what their brain is thinking, what their body is responding to and wanting and needing. So they're very driven towards the body of the person, the genitalia of the person, the service that the person can give them, if you like, which is very cold-hearted, very clinical in those ways when we're talking about lust. And it's like there's not really much feeling for the person involved. It's more about their body and about what they can get out of that body and about how they can use that body for their own sexual pleasure and needs. So lust is something that, for example, in some religions, it's seen as a sin. And it's because it's very body orientated. It's very, I'm not saying that every person in the world is wrong to want sex, or that, some people who experience lust, it's like makes them a really, really terrible person. Only you can be the judge of whether you think someone's a good person or not a good person for you, right? But in general, I mean, if you've got two people who are both lustful, both wanting sex, they both lust after each other, that's all they want from each other, then it's to their mutual benefit, isn't it? They do that, right? If that's what they both want, they're both of the same mindset, they're both on the same page, that's exactly what they want, right? It's up to them what they do. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about lust versus love, which is what this video is about, you have to understand what lust is, first of all, to understand the difference between love and lust. And lust is very body focused, very like wanting to have sex with that person, very focused on the end result, which is getting sex out of that person. It's lusting after them. They don't really regard the person's personality very much. They don't really care so much, maybe even about looks sometimes, but obviously a lot of it is looks based. But it's not just looks based. It could be like people release natural pheromones in their body, which is hormones and stuff. So it could be that they're attracted to you, about you, and basically it can be a lot of chemicals involved and a lot of hormones involved, and a lot of reasons like chemically wise why they would be wanting to lust after you. So this person doesn't really have your best interests at heart at all. They don't really care about you as a person. And this is what it's based on, someone who's just lusting after you, right? Love, on the other hand, is completely different, right? Love is actually very different sometimes in some ways to how they portray in the movies. So how they portray in the movies, which obviously I'm a hyper romantic, so I can't say I don't feel these things because I feel a lot of this stuff naturally. So love and love and romance can be separate. Okay. So first of all, we have to understand love is love, romance is romance. But for people who experience both, they're often entangled together, right? So love is obviously, you can have different types of love for your family, your friends. You can have romantic love, someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, love, and these type of things. So love is a big, huge subject. But if we're talking about true love, as in the sense of someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, for example, in the movies, They make out that love is so exciting and passionate and everything like that, and sparks fly and all that lot, which is really good. I'm not saying that's not true. I do feel those things, right? But when it comes down to it, true love is over a period of time. And it's not when you feel totally like sparks flying all the time with someone, really excited or even nervous and anxious around them. It is when you get a great degree of comfortability around them. So they feel like your comfy armchair. And I know this is very different to how love is portrayed in movies, but over time, if you truly love someone, you care about their welfare, you care about their well-being. You want to help them to feel safe. You want them to feel safe with you. You want to protect them to a certain extent. Even though I'm female, I still have a great degree of I want to protect the people, even my friends that I love and care about. I have the protection thing in me, right? So for a girl or woman, it could be that you have the motherly instinct protection. For a guy, it can be you have the masculine instinct for protection. If we're talking about traditional gender roles and how that feels and why both genders might want to make the other person feel safe. But when you truly love someone, you want them to feel safe around you. You want them to feel comfortable around you. You want them to feel happy around you. You want to make them happy as much as possible while keeping your own identity and integrity. So you're going to disagree on some stuff, right? That, you don't have to agree on everything to love someone, right? But love is about acceptance, it's about respect, it's about kindness, it's about caringness, it's about genuinely caring about that person, caring about that person's welfare, caring about that person on a daily basis, caring about what happens to that person, caring if that person's had a bad day, caring if that person's had a good day. You want to be with them through the good times and the bad times. You want to be there for them to comfort them in the hour of need. And you also need to be able to spend quality time with each other, whether that's through video calls, meeting up in person, texts, high levels of communication. You think about a person every day when you really love someone, for example, in a romantic way, especially. You will think about them every day. You want to communicate with them, you want to talk to them, you want to know how they feel, you want to know how they're thinking. You want them to open up to you. You want to have like emotional connection with them, right? Love usually involves emotional connection, especially for asexuals. Asexuals love through an emotional connection. They're not loving usually through genitalia and physical stuff. They're loving through emotional connection. This is why asexuals are hugely beneficial in that way. Asexual love is hugely beneficial to sexuals, for example, because in heterosexual relationships, I was in them in the past for a long time. To me, there's a lack of emotional connection a lot of the time. And it kind of makes you more disconnected from that person. And the relationship's based a lot more on sex, sexual attraction by the other person if you're asexual. And it kind of like is more to my mind, to my experience, it's more clinical, it's more matter of fact. It's not as deep and meaningful. Now I know I'm asexual and I've been, I'm in my asexual prime, if you like, and I understand asexuality and I understand emotional connection a lot more. I'm more emotionally connected to people in general now because I am asexual and I allow myself to be fully me, right? So I can connect with people in a much more authentic way because I know who I am much more than I ever knew before. And so that does allow me to have connection with people more. Um, so when you love someone, it's like you're really comfortable around them, right? They like your comfy armchair. You feel really relaxed and like supported by them, and you feel beautiful even at your worst. This is like true love. When you feel like that person loves you, whether you've just had a bad hair day, you've just got out of bed, you're not looking your best, you've got your most scrappiest clothes on, if you like, they love you still. It doesn't matter what you do, what you say, how you are, they're still going to love you anyway. However, this does not include abuse. If you are abusive or someone is abusive to you, there comes a point where you have to walk away. If that person doesn't change, you have to leave. Right? We're not talking about accepting and tolerating bad behavior and anything from that person. That's not loving yourself. You have to love yourself first and foremost before you can love someone else healthily, right? So we're not talking about that, right? We're not talking about that. I don't advocate staying with someone who's abusive or unhealthy for you, however much you might feel love for them. If they are not healthy for you, that's not healthy, good love. That's not love. That's a toxic love, right? You don't want that in your life, okay? So I'm never advocating that. But what I mean to say is you have a certain amount of respect for each other, respect for each other's lives, respect for each other's time, respect for each other's mental health, respect for each other's space within a relationship. If you love each other, you have to have a lot of communication, and you have to make a safe space for each other. And you want to make a safe space for that person to be able to talk and share their feelings and thoughts, and vice versa. You're not always going to agree on everything, you know. You can't make people a carbon copy of you. But obviously, inevitably, if you get into a relationship with someone, you're going to rub off on each other. It's just how it is over time. So you have to make sure that you're healthy for each other. Love is when you feel like you like give extra care to that person. You want to make them a priority. You want to spend more time with them. You want to like, if it's romantic love, right? You want to do romantic things, right? And like hold their hand. Like, I know some cultures hold hands, like, as part of their culture, but I'm not used to that. Usually, I only hold hands in a romantic relationship. Um, so yeah, it's a bit strange to me, but I'm still getting used to that. But yeah, so like in terms of romance, you want to hold their hand, you want to kiss them, you want to cuddle them, but these are romantic things on top of love. But if you are with someone for a long period of time in a relationship, there comes a point where it might not be as exciting or thrilling as it was originally. I personally love kissing, and I think that's exciting and keeps the relationship excitable. But there might be a degree of like, that dying now, but there should always be a comfortability. You should feel like the person's your bestest ever friend, soulmate if you believe in soulmates, and definitely the best friend. Like, the friendship should be there. If you love someone, there should be a friendship element, and they should have your best interests at heart. And they shouldn't be wanting to use you or abuse you or make you unhappy. There should be a degree of wanting to make each other happy whilst retaining your own identity. And it should be like comfortability, familiarity, and that's actually more true love than the person who just makes you feel excitable but anxious and nervous at the same time. You can't actually have a sustainable, long-lasting relationship if the person's putting you on edge, making you feel anxious, stressed, and nervous, right? That can sometimes get entangled up in excitement, feelings of love for a person. So it doesn't mean to say that that can't change, because when you don't know someone, you might be more anxious, you might be more scared, you might be more fearful because you haven't known them long. And really, the true person actually takes years to come out. Like, sometimes you can love someone and then not realize truly who they are till months, weeks, or years later. I some people I know that I didn't fully know that I thought I knew, and then something else a year or two later comes out about them, and I never knew that about them, right? When I thought I knew them really well. So it's very important to understand that love is a thing that's patient and kind and takes time, and it's something that is born out of true friendship, a true admiration for that person, a true respect for that person, a true care about the person, which is very different to lusting after the body. Someone who loves you genuinely cares about you as a person, cares about your personality, cares about you as a being, as a soul, cares about you, that person, the person inside. Someone who lusts after you will just want you for your body and won't be that interested in you as a person. They'll switch off to you. They won't be that into you, and they won't be necessarily attracted to you as a person. They're attracted to what you can do for them physically. Do you see the difference? Right? And love requires a lot of communication. Love requires work to keep it going. any type of love or relationship needs to be nourished. So you plant the seed of love, for example, and then you have to water that seed in order for it to grow, right? What does watering mean in real terms? It means you need to be talking to that person, communicating with them, growing a relationship with them, getting to know them as a person, getting them to understand their likes, their dislikes, their wants, their needs, what they goals are, what they admire, what they don't admire, their mannerisms, their perspective. Um, so there's a lot to learn about a person, right? Because if you truly love someone, you need to love them as a whole person as much as possible. You might not like everything about them, but you might love them in general. I find it hard to think that I wouldn't like everything about a person I love. But maybe there's some stuff that naturally you don't like as much. But I think you have to have the same core values and beliefs for it to be a healthy love. Overall, the majority of values and beliefs, like, like two people don't cheat on each other. Those type of values and beliefs, like two people like both are happy to not have kids, right? These are like big values. Like they both value the freedom of being with each other in a relationship without children, for example. This is a main core value and belief, right? So you understand that love is like a flower. It needs watering to blossom and to come out and to flourish and thrive, right? Lust doesn't need that. Lust basically is just someone who wants sex and they don't really care about you as a person, right? So I would encourage you that if you are in connection with someone, talking to someone who they say they're interested in you and a relationship with you, are they talking to you like a human being or are they just lusting after you? Are they asking you questions about yourself? Are they sharing parts of their life with you? Are they sharing their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts? If they're sharing their feelings, emotions, thoughts, and open up to you, this is a really good thing because this is how you can be emotionally connected to that person and you can have a more open, honest relationship with them or potential relationship if you're thinking about getting into a relationship with someone, right? So you need to be able to share thoughts, feelings, emotions because if you keep those bottled up, there'll be a disconnect between you two. So it's better to like speak your truth, speak your mind in the most caring way possible. Yeah. Saying, I feel this, I think this, I feel this. Like, how are we going to work this out together? Right. This type of thing. And so yeah, so that's love versus lust. And so what can asexuals bring to the table? Well, you have to understand as an asexual person, though obviously we do have different needs to the majority of the population in terms of heterosexuals. The majority need to have sex, right? But we have to also understand that society's conditioned the majority of people in the world to be this way. As asexuals, we were probably brought up, the majority of us, to think that heterosexuality is the sexuality to be, and everyone should be having sex, and it's normal and natural to have sex in relationships, right? And if you grew up with that message and you felt like that's not what I'm interested in, that's not what I'm about, it can feel quite damaging. It can feel very invalidating. It can feel very dismissive of your feelings and emotions, and it can make you feel like you're an alien who just doesn't understand this weird language that the majority of the world have, right? So you can feel very left out and very lonely, kind of disconnected from people, not really understand what they mean, what they're talking about, and you just don't relate to those feelings because you don't have those feelings, right? And I'm not saying every asexual doesn't have any of these feelings. I'm saying like the majority of us, like the pure asexuals, and in general, we don't have these feelings. And if you don't have these feelings, it can be very disconcerting, very difficult, right? But as asexuals, we do have a lot of other things to bring to the table in a relationship. So as society does change and they discover that, yes, more about asexuality, and they discover, yes, asexuality is genuinely a real sexual orientation, and they begin to accept that, then all this business about focusing on sex as being part of the relationship is going to dissipate more, right? So people are going to be thinking of sex more as a choice in a relationship rather than need or a must have. This is why it's very important to raise awareness of asexuality, to have channels like this, and obviously there's other channels and books and things, so that we can truly live in peace and harmony among sexuals who understand us more, and hopefully there'll be more sexuals willing and able to have a relationship without sex in the future, right? There's a lot of things that people bring to the table, asexuals. First of all, there is no one like you in the world. You are a unique person with many special qualities. And it might be that someone comes along and they think, hey, if I could have sex or I could have that person, I would much rather have that person because of the unique qualities that they possess, their personality, their characteristics, their values, their beliefs. All these are important for a sustainable, happy relationship. Doesn't matter if people have like sex 3 times a week, if they're disconnected from each other, they haven't got anything in common. They don't even really like each other's personalities that much. They conflict a lot, and they're just not feeling good around each other the majority of time, right? That's not a healthy relationship. You can have a healthy sexless relationship if the things that you need in the relationship are still present and still there. If some people have amazing personalities. They're very caring, very kind, and some asexuals, obviously, I'm not saying every asexual is amazing good, but asexuals can be loving, caring, kind, considerate. All these are wonderful qualities, right? We can make time for other people because we're not focused on genitalia and sex and stuff. It sometimes means we've got more time to give to people, more time to give to the one or ones we love, more time to give to a romantic relationship, because we're not so focused on genitalia, on sex and stuff like that. There's That's gone from our life, so we can take up other things in our lives, and also hobbies and interests. Like some asexuals are really into certain hobbies, really into certain interests, and that can be very, very good if you're in a relationship with someone who has similar hobbies and interests, because you've got that shared common ground that you can unite you and bring you together and make you feel close to each other, right? And sharing a hobby and interest with each other and helping each other out a hobby and interest can be very fulfilling. It can make you feel very satisfied because you're getting that satisfaction of achieving something together. And that makes you both feel good and great. So asexuals can bring a lot to the table, such as creativity, such as intelligence, such as like being very good at pursuing multiple hobbies and interests, which makes the relationship a lot more interesting. It's a lot more interesting than someone who just comes home from a 9 to 5 job, has food, has sex, watches TV, and then goes to bed. There isn't any communication. That watching TV is the lowest form of communication in couples. It's the lowest form. You're not connecting with the person. You're just watching TV. There's no communication backwards and forwards with each other, right? Active listening is another one. If you're an asexual who can actively listen to your partner, that is a huge benefit. What do I mean by active listening? Active listening is when you listen to someone and you take on board what they say, and you put away distractions like your mobile phone and stuff like that, and can actually recite back what they said to you because you've listened with intent and you've listened with activeness rather than reactiveness. So this is really important, right? And some asexuals are very, very intelligent. They read lots of books. They take part in like courses and stuff like that, which again will improve the relationship, because if you're bringing some intelligence to the relationship, that's very stimulating for the other person. It's very interesting for the other person. It can make the other person feel like that they are having value put into their life, that you are giving something of interest and helping them learn and grow as a person. So this is very valuable qualities as well. Some asexuals are very sensual. Sexual versus sensual. So sexual is obviously doing sex things, sex acts, all that type of thing. Sensual is when you are touching someone in a sensual way, like you're feeling their skin, you're feeling their hair, certain parts of their body by stroking and touching it, but it doesn't have to lead to sex. So for example, I'm very sensual when I want to be, when I'm stroking the guy's hair, for example. So if I'm kissing a guy, I could also be doing some sensual stuff with him, not necessarily all the time. I just really love the kissing, but like stroking his hair, stroking his shoulders, stroking his face, making him feel really loved and special in the moment that I'm kissing him. or even just like you can stroke someone's hair to make them feel loved and special without kissing, right? And so, you someone who has sex without being sensual might feel to a sexual person like something's missing. Like a heterosexual might think, hey, okay, this sex is good because I like sex. They might think that, but they might think that there's something missing. And it might be the sensual aspect that's actually missing for them because they feel it's more mechanical. They're not getting the full feeling of the senses, right? And as an asexual person, you could be very sensually attracted to the person. You could give them a very sensual experience without actually having the sex. And so you could be stroking their arms, stroking their hair, making them feel very loved in their body, or even their making them feel really good about their face, making them feel really loved and special, like just by stroking their hair, taking care of them in that way. And, like lots of people who as kids and babies, they like their hair stroked, right? Because it's very soothing and very comforting. So you can do that type of thing with your special person, right? To make them feel loved and special, right? To make someone feel loved, we already talked about what love is. It doesn't need sex, right? Because to make someone feel loved and to love someone is to respect them, to have a sense of care about them, care about their well-being, care about their health, care about their safety, caring about them as a person, as a human being, wanting to be in their life, wanting to learn about them, wanting to grow together, wanting to share secrets with them, wanting to develop a deep emotional connection with that person, wanting to create understanding between each other. None of these things need sex. So an asexual can provide one of these things, multiple of these things, and so obviously it depends on your own unique experience as an asexual about what are these things you can bring to the table, but these are multiple things that are to do with love, not lust, and that can make for a hugely loving relationship without sex ever. And so you have to understand there's a lot of benefits you can bring to the table as an asexual. I would always suggest that you do tell a person you're asexual upfront, or if you're not interested in sex, you tell them about that. One or the other or both, right? They need to know from the off that you are asexual, right? And obviously, you need to know if they're not asexual, ideally, as soon as possible, if you're interested in a relationship with them. But even if they are a sexual person, again, a discussion needs to be had about whether they could live without sex or not. Some heterosexuals, a lot of them couldn't, but there's going to be a few that can. Because they're going to value being with that person far more. Maybe they haven't had sex and they're not used to having it, so it really doesn't bother them because they're not missing anything because they haven't had it anyway. So because some people are like that, it's like they haven't had sex before. They may be curious about it, but they're not curious about it as in an innate need. They have to do it, and it might be why I haven't had sex all my life, so I don't care if I don't have sex because it's not something I'm missing because I've never had it. So, I think that's quite a good thing. And you might even get some sexuals that have had lots of sex and they're like, okay, I've had my share of sex now. I'm really not so bothered about that anymore. I'd rather get the right person for me to be in a relationship with and someone I can trust and who's loyal and faithful and loving and caring, who I can share hobbies and interests with and who respects me and cares about me. So there might be these type of scenarios. But the main thing is to remember that you are lovable, and just because you don't want sex, don't need it, don't like it, don't have to have it, doesn't mean to say you're broken or that anything's wrong with you. It just means to say you haven't found someone who's compatible with you yet, who can love you for who you are, right? But there are thousands of people in their world. There are huge amounts of people, and there are lots of people who do actually want a relationship, maybe subconsciously or consciously. Yes, there are some people who never want a relationship. A lot of the time they're aromantic. They don't experience romantic attraction or sexual attraction. Aromantic asexuals. Or aromantic sexuals you can get who don't experience any romantic attraction, but they do still desire the sex. Those people in general don't need relationships as much, especially aromantic sexuals. They just usually want the sex. But aromantic asexuals, some of them can still be in loving, caring relationships, which I know from having people in my groups that are. But an asexual relationship a lot of the time can be based on hobbies and interests and deep bestest friendships, soulmate connection. People disregard a relationship without sex is not a relationship. It's just a friendship, right? At the end of the day, any type of relationship, whether it's got sex involved or not, has to be based on deepest, best ever friendship. If it's not, that relationship won't last, or it won't be healthy or good, because you have to have a degree of care about that person as a friend and want their best interests. If you start being in a relationship with someone that you don't have any friendship with, first of all, you won't have such an invested interest in them, in their well-being, in their welfare. You won't care about them as such. But if you get into a relationship with someone who's your best friend as well, you'll be like, God, I really don't want to lose this person because they're my best friend and I don't know what I'd do without them in my life. And I wouldn't want to lose them, right? And you can lose someone who's your best friend if they develop love feelings for you. You develop love feelings for them. Because they, at the end of the day, have to be with someone else if you can't be in a relationship together and you're not right for each other. Sometimes you can stay friends, it depends. But if their love for you so strong and yours them, but you can't be in a relationship together, then they're going to be in a relationship with someone else in the future, most likely, if they're seeking a relationship, right? So you have to let them go in that scenario to be with someone who can love them more than you do, who can be with them more than you do, right? Um, but if you really truly love someone and they're your deepest, bestest ever friend, then 9 times out of 10 you'll stay together because you have that foundation of friendship to start off with. And the fact that relationships based on friendships are disregarded as proper true relationships is just absolutely disgusting anyway. Because all the relationships that are not based on friendships are a lot more shallow relationships. There's a lot less care about the person and each other. And it's much more likely to be toxicity, unhealthiness, arguments, and, you know, a lack of general care for each other and distrust and disharmony. So you don't want that, right? All good, healthy relationships should be based on deepest, best ever friendship, right? Because that is the foundation that's going to keep you together, whether it's in a friendship or in a romantic relationship. But romantic relationships can have, like, for example, I don't kiss my friends, right? So if I have a romantic relationship, I'm doing stuff with that person I'm not doing with my friends. I'm not going around kissing my friends. I'm not going around sensually stroking my friend's hair, arms, sitting on their lap, in between their legs, stuff like that I would be doing in a romantic relationship. I don't do that with my friends. That is just too close, right? It's too intimate. Right? So, yeah, and I wouldn't be saying lovey-dovey stuff to my friends, you know what I mean? So, it's a friendship and a romantic relationship, it's very different even without sex. It's, like, um, so you don't have to be having sex in a relationship for it to be different to a friendship. But all friendships are good if they're healthy, and you should be a best friend with someone first, so you actually care about them. You actually care about their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts, their well-being, their welfare. You want to know how they are on a daily basis. You really genuinely want them in your life, and you like being close to them. Closeness requires vulnerability, whether that's with a friend or with a romantic relationship, right? And sometimes it's hard if you've been hurt in the past, but I would encourage you not to allow the hurts and the pain to affect your future relationships or relationship or friendships, because at the end of the day, you only live once, and you shouldn't let someone who's been bad to you, cheated on you, lied to you, or deceived you stop you from getting people in your life that are going to be the opposite to that. They're going to love you and cherish you and adore you and care about you so, so much. So, so much. And in the meantime, with that void or that space, give yourself so much love, so much praise, so much joy. Create the best life for yourself because you damn well deserve it. Right? If you're asexual and you can love without sex, my God, that's a gift. It's a gift from the heavens, a gift from the universe. If you can love someone without sex, that's incredible. Just think of how many times in relationships people that are not having sex feel devalued, unloved, uncared for because they're basing their relationship on how much sex they are or are not having. And if they're not having it, they feel rejected or devalued, right? If you're saying up front, hey, I'm asexual, I'm not interested in sex, but I can love you for who you are, and they can feel that and they can experience that. And if they don't need sex, then that is the best feeling in the world, right? To have that support, that protection, that caringness, that lovingness, that kindness, that interestingness, right? If you're going to have a long-term relationship with someone, you want it to be interesting. You don't want someone who's boring, right? A lot of asexuals are very interesting because of the hobbies they have, the interests they have, the amount of different things they're interested in. I mean, in my asexual groups, we post things like photographs of our day, and like loads of people are very good at taking photographs of places they've been, things they've seen, animals they have. Quite a lot of asexuals are into cooking and food. I like food and eating, but I don't like cooking. But I do post a lot of my videos to do with food on here. I eat nice, healthy meals, but I do have some things like salted crisps. So yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, it's better to be with a person in a long-term committed relationship with someone who's interesting, got, some diversity, some difference, who can love that person without sex, because when that person gets older, especially, like, their sex drive might go, or you might be having less sex because of physical ailments and stuff like that. And if they got someone there who already loves them without sex, they don't need to worry about that thing. They don't need to worry about, oh, I can't perform anymore, I can't have sex, or this person's going to go off and leave me because I can't have sex because of physical problems anymore, or, for some reason, or I'm not having as much sex with a person. They don't have to worry about you feeling unloved like that, because you'll know that you're still loved, because you don't base love on sex, right? And so asexuals have a lot to bring to the table. A lot of asexuals are very intelligent, very creative, very kind and caring. I'm not saying all asexuals are like this, but a lot of them. And we've got like interests, and we've got a very kind of loyalty to those we love. I think in general, those we form really close bonds with, we've got a very good amount of loyalty with them, amount of caringness with them, a great degree of like, I really want you in my life. And these are the things that bind people together in relationships, and they're people that bind people together in no sex relationships, particularly because we're not focused on genitalia and physical things. So just remember, if you're asexual, all the talents and skills you have, the creativity, the intelligence, the dedication, the loyalty, the wanting to be friends with someone, wanting to be close to someone, the emotional connection, and above all else, the unique person that you are, the unique makeup that you are, that no one else in this entire world, planet, and universe is. No one's you, right? So someone who truly loves you, they'll want specifically you. And yeah, specifically you. They'll want you for who you are, they'll love you for who you are, and they'll know there's no one else in the world like you, and it's just you specifically they want, right? If they do, right? And in the meantime, enjoy your single life as much as possible. Fill your cup up. Make yourself as happy as possible. Do things and passions and dreams that you find fascinating and that light your cup up and feel great to you. And never forget how beautiful you are. And the world is a better place for having you in it. I love you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any value from it whatsoever, any insights, any aha moments, anything that's just like, oh, that's really good, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who may need to hear this information right now. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because I've got loads of people that watch this channel who aren't actually subscribed yet. So please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And don't forget, if you want any more advice or help about asexuality, check out this Asexual Perspectives book on Amazon. Grab yourself a copy and listen to and read the 46 Asexuals plus my own story about what it's like to really be asexual, and what's the difference between sexual attraction, sexual desire, arousal, and get to understand what asexuals really think about porn and love and all this type of thing. So it's a really great book. I think you'll enjoy it. So don't forget to grab a copy of that on Amazon, Blackwell's website, Waterstones, Barnes and Noble. And I'll see you on the next video live stream. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.